Well, hello everybody, this is Thomas Cole with The Final Word, and tonight we're going to be talking to Mike Stoker, who's running for State Assembly District 37. Mike is married to his wife Debbie. He has 2 children, Brandon and Cortland, and 3 stepchildren, Bailey, Bo, and Sophie. He is an attorney specializing in environmental, agricultural, and business law. He has served on the Santa Barbara Board of Supervisors, served as Deputy Secretary of State, appointed by Governor Wilson as Chairman of the California Agricultural Labor Relations Board, and recently was appointed by the President as the Southwest Administrator of the U.S. EPA, that's the Environmental Protection Agency, where he served 80 million people in 8 time zones, from Navajo Nation to the east, to the Mariana Islands to the west, with American Samoa, Guam, Hawaii, California, Arizona, and Nevada in between. That's a lot of serving. Good day, Mike. Welcome.
Hey, great to be here with you, Tom. Yeah.
How's the campaign going?
I got to tell you, I really thought, if you would ask me 3 months ago, would I ever run for office again? The answer was, not no, but unconditionally, unequivocally no. And because I've been out there. I felt have done my bit for public service, would help other people. I'm never going away. I'll always be out fighting for the cause. I counted up, I think since I got involved here in Santa Barbara County, I have probably supported over 300 different candidates, from school board to city councils to mayor to you name it on the ticket. And I'll continue to always do that. But I just thought my days of running were over. The new district was drawn. People like Brooks Firestone, our former county supervisor, the last Republican to represent Santa Barbara, strongly urged me to run. Jordan Cunningham, who represents the current assemblyman for northern Santa Barbara County, who got redistricted out of the district. The new district I'm running in has no assemblyman. It's all of Santa Barbara County. Currently we're split in half. All of Santa Barbara County and the southern part of San Luis Obispo County, Napomo, and Jordan Cunningham urged me to run. They're both my co-chairs. A lot of local Republican leaders had said, Mike, you can win this race. And literally what changed me, my wife sat me down one day in early January, Debbie, who is my true soulmate, and she just said, look, you're the one that says nobody has a right to complain unless you do whatever you can to change things. For some, that's at least vote. If you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain. Others, it's being active, help your candidates. And she goes, you're in that handful of people, that's the candidate, that's the person, that you can be the person that if anybody in the minority could be effective in stopping the craziness and charting a new course for California, that would be you. So I started reassessing. A couple weeks later, after church at Calvary Chapel in Santa Barbara, my pastor, Tommy Snyder, came up and said, I hear you're running for assembly. I said, well, been doing a lot of praying lately. If it's meant to happen, show me the way. And he did a huddle prayer and said, open the doors if it's meant to and shut the doors if it's not. And those same Republican leaders, I was heading off. We left early February for a little vacation. They came to me and they said, we're going to do a poll. And hopefully, we think you're going to do well on that poll. And if you do well, hopefully you'll reconsider. And I said, okay, you do the poll. And if I'm winning or I can win, I'll run. We came back. We're literally 1 point up. And why I think you're going to have a huge surge. We all know, almost all the political pundits say there's going to be a huge surge, like probably one of the biggest Republican election years in this midterm that any of us have had in our lifetime. In our polling of all voters, this isn't just Republicans, Democrats, Independents, declined to state, and Republicans, 79% of the voters in the 37th Assembly District believe we're headed in the wrong direction under Governor Newsom. Well, my opponent, Greg Hart's a guy that's supported that direction. Our campaign, the campaign motto is a new direction for California, and that's why we're going to handle everything from law enforcement. He's on the wrong direction, defunding the police, not supporting parents, not supporting small businesses, being a strong, he's the guy that passes those mandates and regulations. That not being a friend of the taxpayer. He's never saw a tax or a fee he didn't support. He supported the initiative to remove the business properties from Prop 13 protection. So that's what this campaign is going to be about. It's going to be about supporting, who's supporting law enforcement, who wants to defund the police, who wants to support parents and believes parents know more what's best for their children versus government, versus who believes government knows best. Who supports the mandates putting our small business out of business, who's the one's been the champion for small business, and who's the guy that's out there for the taxpayer. I'll leave you one last something to think about. For a non-incumbent candidate, generally it takes 3 to 4 months to go through the cycle to get the endorsement for the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association or the National Federation of Independent Business. There's no other association in California that's really represents taxpayers more than Howard Jarvis, and no other organization that represents small businesses more than the National Federation of Independent Business. John Gopal called me 3 days after I announced to advise the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association to advise me I had their endorsement. And John Kabachek, the executive director of NFIB, called me 5 days after, because these are people I've been around, they know me, they know there'll be no stronger advocate for small business owners and taxpayers. So we're off and running.
That is tremendous. It's tremendous to have that wave at your back.
Yeah.
And you seem like you're hitting all the issues that are important now, that people are caring about: the school issue, the tax issue, the business being closed issue. What's not to like? Because with candidates, well, with supervisors like Greg Hart in place, they're going to take the brunt of the public's anger over what's happened the last 2 years, the last 5 years. So it puts them in a bad spot, and you apparently are in a good spot coming into this.
No, I think so. I mean, I think the public has gotten to the point they're just fed up with what they've seen. I was shocked in the polling. I mean, as I said, 79% of the folks in the 37 thought we were headed in the wrong direction.
That's huge.
But that's huge, but it didn't surprise me as much as 64% believed the county was headed in the wrong direction. Now, I didn't see that coming. But then, the public has seen the county completely shut down. The rest of us are kind of opening our doors again. The county employees, like state employees, are still teleworking from home because all the government wants to act like COVID's still there like it's been for the last 2 years, and the public employee unions, of which my opponent is very beholden to. He was, as a supervisor, he was greatly funded by the county public employee unions, SEIU and those other unions.
Yes.
In this election, he'll be funded by the state public employee unions to massive amounts. He has never and never will, as a state legislator, vote against any pay raises that they request, vote against any benefits that they want, vote against adding additional holidays for paid holidays. And the public, I think, they've seen the defund the police. They don't want that. Greg Hart led that effort. He tried to take money away from our sheriffs and our DAs. Those were people that contacted me too, because they remember. I mean, I have a lifetime of public service that's always had the back of public safety. I've always been there for our sheriffs and law enforcement and our DAs and the men and women that put their lives on the line. And they know they're not going to have to knock on Assemblyman Stoker's door if there's a bill on law enforcement to say, hey, we really need you to support this bill. If it's good for law enforcement, I'm going to have their back. They're going to get my vote. They don't have to lobby me. My
Right.
special interests really is law enforcement, parents, taxpayers, and small business owners, and veterans. There's my special interest.
That is a good interest.
And
those are the people that are at issue. Now, we know Greg Hart was taking the easy way out by defunding the police or going along with those calls. And that was an easy thing to do at the time. It was sort of popularized, like, let's do this. But it wasn't maybe the right thing to do, because the public now looks back on that and sees it as, a pandering to, special interests, where you, as you just said, your special interests are the people, the parents, law enforcement, taxpayers, and the students, schools. Now, you can't go wrong with that.
Well, the thing is about that, and I think here's the difference. If you look at since, like I said, I've been in the public light for 82. I'm not saying anything different. I said this stuff when it wasn't popular.
Exactly.
You know, in times when times are really, really good, you know, people aren't, you know, giving that speech on we don't need to raise our taxes. You know, we don't need to put more mandates on our small businesses, putting them out of business, forcing them to move to other states. That's me. That's what I've always been about. Supporting parents. You know, giving the speech. Parents know better than government what's best for their children. And I've known Greg a long time. He's a really nice guy. This isn't about, my wife will tell you I'm a really nice guy too. You know, Greg, I think there's two types of public servants or politicians. And I've been saying for 30 years, there's a difference between politicians and public servants. The politician, it's the best paying job they've ever had, and they don't have a real job to go into the private sector if they don't hold office. The public servant, it's the worst paying job they've ever had, and they do have a real job to go back to in the private sector. I've always been a public servant under that definition. Yes. Greg has been a politician. He is pretty much beholden to having that government job or holding that elected office. And I think what happens when you're that way, I've been true to my principles. When I speak up to my party, and because it was the right thing to do. In all my life, I've stood up to my party if I believe they're wrong. And I've always stood up for the principles I believe in. I think Greg has kind of been a go-along kind of guy. You won't ever see him oppose Governor Newsom because he's a party guy. He's very partisan. Whereas you would have seen me speak up. I did many times against Governor Wilson, Governor Schwarzenegger, Governor Duke Majan, who originally appointed me. Normally, I'm going to agree with the majority of their things or their policies. But if there's a policy I disagree with, I speak out against it. I'm just not a yes guy. I'm there for the people of this district. And I think Greg got caught up with his constituents in Santa Barbara that are more progressive, more left. And I don't think deep down in his heart, he really thought defunding our sheriffs and DA was the right thing to do. But those constituents that he's so tight with, they did. And I think that's why he did it.
Jumped on the bandwagon, opportunistic, and now it's going to come back and bite him.
So it comes down to, are you a leader or are you a follower? And I've always been a leader, and I'm not a follower, and I'm not getting in this race to just be an assemblyman and, you know, go to Sacramento and vote, you know, Monday through Thursday. I intend to be a leader. I intend to be probably the biggest pain in the butt for the Democrats doing the crazy stuff that they're doing up in Sacramento, and be a very effective voice in the minority. I guarantee when I get there, I'm just not going to be another Republican legislator.
That'd be a refreshing change. I know we're going to need it. And with this wave coming, you may have more and more help in the Assembly.
We're going to have a huge wave. We're going to pick up a lot of seats in the Senate and the Assembly. There is no way that we're going to come out of this race in the majority. But I think by picking up a lot of seats, it's going to make the other side realize, hey, we've really overextended our hand on this, and we've gone way too far to the left. You know, we got to get back to... There's middle of the road Republicans and Democrats, and you know, I often, you know, it drives a lot of my Republican friends crazy when I go to Republican groups, and I often say to them, I go, who do you think, in my opinion, who do you think was the best governor in my lifetime in California? I think they all expect me to say Governor Reagan, and I go, no, I think Governor Reagan was a really good governor and a great president, one of my all-time favorite presidents, a great president. I think in my lifetime, the greatest governor we had was Governor Brown. And it's like, and I go, not Governor Jerry Brown.
Jerry Brown.
Governor Pat Brown.
Pat Brown, okay. Yeah.
Pat Brown was he was considered the infrastructure governor. If I gave you Democrat Governor Pat Brown's quotes from his speeches, you would think they're Mike Stoker pro-business speeches on saying, if California wants to be number one in everything, and I'm a native Californian, I grew up in the 60s when we were number one in everything.
That's right.
Now we're 48, 49, and 50 in everything. We were number one with Pat Brown, and he used to say, if we're going to be number one, if we're going to have the best schools, if we're going to build the state water project, we're going to build the best highways, our infrastructure, we kept up with it. We have to be the #1 job-producing state in the country. We have to be a friend to the business community. We have to expand those businesses. As we expand those businesses, it's more jobs. More jobs is more income tax. More income tax is more money to make us the Golden State. Governor Pat Brown got it. Basically, my speech often on fiscal economics in Sacramento and pro-growth policies, or the lack thereof, in Sacramento
today
is basically Governor Pat Brown's policies back in the 60s. That's pretty much what I've always been made of since I got into public life back in the 80s.
Very interesting. Dams, infrastructure, highways, everything was Pat
Water,
Brown.
we have a huge water shortage problem, and I've been giving for 30 years. We don't have a water shortage problem. We have a water storage problem. We haven't built a reservoir in the state since Governor Pat Brown. We built several reservoirs under Governor Pat Brown. Our water delivery system was designed for 20 million people. It's currently serving 45 million people. And when we first started delivering that water back in the 60s, the State Water Project, all the reservoirs that Governor Pat Brown was building, 100% of the water was delivered to the people of California, to the farmers, to the residents, to the businesses. Currently, almost 30% of that water in Northern California is diverted to the Pacific Ocean because of endangered species, because of the delta smelt. So we not only built a system for only 20 million people that's serving 45. When it was built and it was delivering 100% and now only delivering 70%. That's why we have the water shortage problem.
Exactly, and you are the kind of candidate that California needs, because the average person is not going to be able to decide, hey, we need more dams, or let's put a dam here, or let's put in a water diversion project. You know about these issues, and it would be a great benefit to have that experience and your experience with the agricultural board that you were on.
Right.
You're aware of the water, aware of the farmers, and the fact that we need more storage if we're going to have 45,000 people, 45 million that is, for a $20 million infrastructure.
And the beautiful thing is, back to Governor Pat Brown, he delivered a conveyance system that can deliver all the water, water we have in excess from Shasta and Northern California, literally all the way down to San Diego and Orange County via the State Water Project that was constructed, which today you could never construct. The environmentalists would kill that project.
The canals.
It would never be done.
They would never get those canals done now.
So he created the conveyance system. And there's so many, it's not just reservoirs, it's expanding, you can expand current reservoirs by 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 feet. That does not interface with roads, property, and anything else. It significantly increase the acre feet yield of that reservoir. There's retention basins. We need to be really promoting, somebody the other day who's really big on desal. Mike, we need to really get out there and get desal. And he's a desal guy and he makes money from desal. And I go, I support desal, but it's like energy. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. What you want to have is you want to have multitude of sources available, and it's those multitude of sources that help eliminate having a water shortage problem or an energy shortage problem. So you want to be diversified on those fronts, and the environmental community in this state has really made a strong effort on shutting down diversification. I mean, they're moving towards eliminating natural gas as an energy source, which is one of the cleanest sources of energy that we have. Doesn't make sense.
Right, shutting down the terminal down by Oxnard was a big blow to the coast. No chance of energy coming in there, and all the other regulations that are shutting down our oil wells through the North County, and that district would be your district, the Santa Maria area, and there is oil there to be had. Right?
Onshore oil is really safe environmentally, especially if it's regulated appropriately by the state and the respective counties. You really can, you greatly diminish, in Santa Barbara, correctly, we get nervous on oil because we had Platform A in 1967. We just had Refugio. What you're talking about is onshore. Everything onshore, usually like in Santa Barbara County, back, you don't even see it. It's back in the Cat Canyon areas and places like that. That can be done, again, with appropriate regulations by if it's Kern County, the county, and the state of California that has oversight.
Right.
There's a great deal of oil that we can get, but now, I can't do a lot about the federal policies that President Biden invoked, which basically took away an incentive from the domestic producers onshore in the United States, not just California, to be producing right now. It gave them the incentive to say, that's oil in the ground, like money in the bank. We'll wait till the policies change where we can again basically get the limited profit that we need to get out of it for pumping that oil. But that's, to be real honest, I mean, I'm one of those guys, straightforward guy. A lot of politicians will say, you send me to Sacramento, I'll solve that problem. A lot of those policies, why those independents have shut down, is not because of the county and it's not because of the state. It's because of the policies of the Biden administration. So that's where they need to be reversed.
And that wave is coming that may add to some of that reversal. But
right.
Yeah, so we're talking about energy, and that was a great thing you were saying about we need a diversity of energy sources rather than being shut down to only windmills and solar panels. You need everything.
I promote
everything, right?
I want alternative, sustainable energy, and I believe in doing everything we can to encourage it, tax credits, things of that nature, because and when the market, when it gets developed, clearly, if we, I remember in 1970 they told us, they were telling me and telling all of us, we were all going to be run by solar energy by 1980. It didn't happen because it didn't pan out with the research. But we should be doing everything with solar, with tidal, with wind, with all the sustainable, clean energy sources. And then as we can transition, I look forward to the day when we don't need natural gas, hypothetically, if we had all these alternative sources that were viable and functioning on a cost-effective basis to power up our country and power up our state. But you don't cut off, that there needs to be the bridge, there needs to be the transition, and you don't cut off your nose in spite of your face. You need to basically transition out until the time comes that those clean alternative sources of energy can provide all the energy we need in a viable way, in a cost-effective manner to run this country.
Right, and we're going off the bridge now with the sudden prices of oil and gas jumping.
Which has a lot to do, I mean, contrary to the president trying to, do his narrative that it's all caused by Putin right now, that's nonsense. That happened 28 days ago, the insursion into Ukraine. The gas prices 2 months ago were up, 40% from where they were the year before.
That's right.
And it's based on the policies of this administration, of which took us from being energy dependent and exporting oil out in the last month of the Trump administration in December 2020 to in December of 2021, we were over 1 million barrels a day less that we were producing in this country because of those policies. But again, that's something, I can campaign for our next president as assemblyman, but as an assemblyman, I'm not going to be able to solve those problems.
We've had a good discussion about your energy views and policies, and
I'm one of those persons. I'm pretty well known. There's no secrets about Mike Stoker because I've been out in the public life so long and had to go before Senate confirmation hearings and through elections. And I think the voters know me. What you see is what you get. I'm no different as an assemblyman or not as an assemblyman. The issues, the issues I'm campaigning on are the issues I've always been about. It's been standing up for law enforcement, standing up for parents, standing up for veterans, standing up for the small business owners, and standing up for the taxpayers, and then being 100% available and accessible to all my constituents. in this district, no matter how progressive you are on the left or however far right you are on the right and everywhere in between. My job is to be available, and I always have been. I mean, if you want to contact me, my personal email, and it will be at After I'm Your Assemblyman, is mikestoker@aol.com. And always feel free to send me an email. And if you want me to discuss an issue with you or want me to call you back, tell me, give me a call, give me your phone number, and I'll call you back. And my email won't change as your assemblyman. I'll be accessible and available for everybody.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mike Stoker.
Pleasure being on the show with you.
Good day and good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.